Yo, what's up guys? It's the Miho Within. It's been a while since I've made one of these, but I'm back in the game. I was trying to come up with a new for hire build. I was really thinking about what to really make this deck work. I wanted to make it my first deck profile coming back into the game, and it's been tough. Trying to think of stuff to really make the deck competitive. This deck is more of like a rogue deck, so even then it's like in the lower tier, I would say. But but yeah, I've haven't been able to find much to really like push the deck further. Right now, probably the best card the deck has to work off of is like Hornet Drones, and that card is at one, and we can't even search it because engage is banned. But yeah, we need something like Grinder Golem, where like in my other video, where lets you activate Folgo turn one and stuff. But this build in particular that I made, I like the idea that going first is an option. A lot of the builds that I've been seeing is focused on going second, but then their like turn one is relatively weak. But I did come up with some new ideas with some of the current cards that we have that can it has potential that you can still do stuff with the deck. So main focus, what I did with this one was trying to make every hand that you can do something with it. Of course, if you get negated on the normal summon and stuff, then you can't do much. But I mean that's the risk that you have to take when playing for hire, like pure for hire, because there's no other like sub engine that I'm using. So anyways, let's get started. So I'm playing three Rafale. So three of this guy because I'm using Pot of Desires in this build. I don't want to risk being banishing all three of them. So yeah, he's really good. He can negate Nibiru, which is a pretty big deal if you leave him on board and you make Folgo using other for hires. That way you have the monster negation. Then Triple Beat, our main starter. He searches out another for hire monster when he's on the field and you special summon a for hire, you get to search. So usually our main starter, it's always nice to see him going first. Up next we got Triple Seal. So Seal is pretty nice now that we have a decent amount of we have Almirage to work with. So Almirage can really let us use the smaller for hires, the ones that are 1,000 or less attack. We can go into Almirage. So like summon the little for hire. So like let's say for example I have Philo. So summon Philo, special seal, use Philo for Almirage, and then use Seal to special summon another for hire. And since Philo's engraved because we used it for Almirage, we can go ahead and trigger the effect of Seal and add Philo to hand. See, normally, and if we didn't go for the Almirage play, it would be like we wouldn't even have a situation where we could use Seal's effect to add from grave to hand. But by doing that, it's a good workaround. He's pretty cool. You can actually do plays with him too. Like let's say you open up Seal and two Philos. You can use one Philo to go into Almirage before you special summon Seal first with the first Philo. You do the play I just explained. You go Almirage with Philo, then you use Seal to special summon the other Philo, and then you have Cyverse, Beast Warrior, and Wing Beast, which is enough to go into Folgo. So that's pretty good. Up next, Triple Philo. Being able to special summon from your grave, which is pretty nice. Also lets you go into Link Karibo. The little ones being able to go into Almirage or Link Karibo is pretty nice because I'm using Parallel Exceed in the deck. So yeah, even if their effects get negated, you have some type of play. So like let's say I go Philo and I go effect and then they impermanence it. Well, yeah, that sucks, but at least I can go into Almirage or Link Karibo, then special summon Parallel Exceed and at least get a play out of it. So triple of her. Then triple Dampa. Almost playing all the little ones at 3, except for one when I get to them. But triple Dampa, really nice. Probably one of the more important ones. Gets to destroy a face-up card on the field when something special summoned. I mean when a for hire special summoned while he's on the field. So yeah, usually you want to try and end on a board if you have a revival card such as Mayhem or like Back to the Front, you want to try and end up with him. Like Folgo and him is fine. You can just end on that board if you have a revival, because then you can bring back a for hire monster and then trigger Dompa. That way you can get the destruction effect, and then triggering Folgo on your opponent's turn is very nice. It's actually what makes this deck viable. So yeah, triple Dompa. Then we have this guy, Helmer. In all the other builds I've been playing, I've only been using him at 1. Just for the sake of having a for hire name. But now, since I'm using a lot of 3-ofs, he's pretty nice. If you open up like 2 names, like let's say for example double Rafale, you can use his effect to actually ditch 1 to get an extra draw. Plus he's also a Almirage target, so that's pretty nice. So yeah, his effect actually does come up sometimes, not all the time, but he can make your hands even better. Like a handful of for hire cards, for hire monsters, I mean, he can change one of them into, like, let's say you just draw like Pot of Desires, Parallel Exceed, Mayhem. Yeah, he's pretty nice. Also Aqua, so we don't have any other Aqua monsters, so he's pretty nice to use to go into Folgo. Up next we have Bravo. So now Bravo plays a more important role in this deck, since Parallel Exceed lets us go into King of the Feral Imps, which is a way to search out Bravo. So it's pretty nice that you can do that. So one of him. And then the only little for hire, so 1000 or less attack that we use at 1 is Recon, the one that can destroy set spells and traps. It's just that this is pretty situational, doesn't really come up all that often, but it's still nice to have. Plus she's also beast, so you don't want to... I don't really like the idea of using multiples of her in Tampa, because then even right now I'm using 4 beast type monsters, so the triple Dompa in this thing. So yeah, try and limit on not using too many of the same types, because Folgo does require 3 different types. And up next we got 3 Parallel Exceed. So this is one of the newer cards. This card works really nicely in this deck. It gives you a lot of more options to be able to... It can be starter. It can be a starter. You can go into like I was saying before, like King of the Feral Imps, or you can end on a board where if one of your for hires gets negated, you can make Baguska. You can also use them to make IP Masquerena. Yeah, there's very good versatility. If you don't have a way to trigger Folgo in your opponent's turn, you can even end up on Tornado Dragon. That way you have some way to destroy something on the field during their turn, just to trigger Folgo. But yeah, this card's pretty nice. I'm not playing Called by the Grave, by the way. I figured that this is like a good substitution for Called by the Grave, because it kind of covers the same scenarios where you would use it. Like, for example, your for hire monster getting failured, for example. Like I was saying before, you can just link them away and still have a Parallel Exceed play. Or let's say you're worried about your Folgo getting Ash Blossomed. You can actually summon Folgo, use effect, chain Parallel Exceed, and make Folgo Chain Link 1, Parallel Exceed Chain Link 2, and then yeah, that way they miss the timing to try and negate your Folgo. So yeah, it's a really nice addition. If you haven't tried playing around with this card in for hire, I highly suggest it. Then lastly is our hand trap. So main hand trap, the best hand trap for hire, in my opinion. I feel like you should play this card at 3. Other hand traps are fine. I just really like how this one has a lot of synergy with the deck. Ghost Ogre, because lets you destroy a card. Destroying cards trigger Folgo. So yeah, really nice. It's always nice drawing this card, because then you can figure out you can end on a board that doesn't really require Domp on field, and you can still trigger Folgo some way. Alright, that's it for the monsters, so now into the spells. It's a bunch of limited spells, first of all, so here we're going to go into Instant Fusion, a way to get a monster on field. You can go into Millenniumize, that way it prevents you from getting hand trapped also. So also another pseudo Called by the Grave almost. And yeah, I can go into the other stuff later once we get into the extra deck. We're only playing one Instant Fusion target right now. But yeah, 1 instant fusion. Scapegoat, a lot of people aren't playing this card. And for hire, I know it's kind of slow, but I mean, still, I think the fact that if you just draw this card, you know it's a single card fall go, and you also have an extra go token. So you make fall go and you still keep one go token that you can use to help you go into like IP or something. It's pretty nice, so I like this card. Reinforcements, search out that beat. Sky Striker Hornet Drones. Other than Scapegoat, this is like instant reward, or the cheapest way to make fall go, because it lets you get two monsters on field, and then all you have to do is just commit a normal summon, and then there you go, you have fall go already. So yeah, I really like that card. Reasoning, a lot of different levels in the deck. It's always nice getting a special summon. If you do get a for hire monster, you can use their effect, and then if their effect is negated, it's not that bad because you still have your normal summon. So it's amazing that, like, I wish we had a for hire card that would help us conserve our normal summon and not be so normal summon reliant, but this is probably the best thing we got to counteract that. But I mean, this card's still pretty good. If you hit Parallel Exceed, you can actually get the effect to special summon the second one out, so that's also nice. So 1 reasoning, and then double desires. Personal preference, there are certain decks that I like running this card at 3, and this one in particular I like it at 2. It's pretty nice when you excavate for Rafale and then you see this card. It's usually the card I want to pick. Unless one of the other cards is something amazing, like for example like a Solemn Strike or something. But yeah, this card is anything that gets its advantage easily, because the way this deck plays is you kind of like go very high commitment. You pretty much use all your resources to end on a board that has plays to trigger fall go, and then if your fall go triggers, it refreshes you. You get the payoff for using so much resources. So yeah, anything that gets you like a +1 is nice. Then we have Triple Mayhem. So this card is very versatile. I really like it at 3. I know it has that that restriction of you can only play 1 per turn, but that doesn't really ever come up, or that's never really a problem for me. It's because you can use 1 to extend or help you combo or make a fall go turn 1, and then if you have the second one, you just save that one for your opponent's turn. That way you can like special summon a monster while you still have a dump on field. So yeah, this card's pretty good. If only we had like a link monster or for hire monster that can actually search it. That would be very helpful, but that's not the case. So we gotta work with what we got. So Triple Mayhem, and then we have 2 back to the front. So basically like more Mayhem. Pretty nice when you open up both, because then you can end up with a fall go and then like use 1 to special summon a Dampa and use the other one to special summon Rafale from graveyard, and then that's when you get some pretty cool chain links going on. But yeah, pretty good. Also opening up multiples of the revivals is a way to counteract Called by the Grave. So like for example, you use 1, you target the card, they Called by the Grave, you can chain the other one, target the same target, that way you can they don't banish it. But yeah, back to the front, pretty nice. Also pretty cool with instant fusion. If you go Millenniumize Restrict, during your opponent's turn, you can back to the front the Millenniumize, and then you have another interruption for your opponent's turn. So I was kind of hesitant about playing this card, but it being chainable and really contributing to the synergies and the boards that you usually want to end up with this deck is, I feel that this card has earned its spot at playing it at 2. So two back to the front. And lastly, final trap, 2 Solemn Strikes. So this card, very good. Just remember, if you want it to trigger fall go, you have to use it on the monster effect while it's on the field. So for example, if you negate the summon, you won't get fall go to draw 3. So let's say for example, your opponent normal summons or special summons Stratos, Elemental Hero Stratos. Don't negate the special summon, but wait for the effect to activate on field, and that's when you want to strike so that you can get the draw 3 effect with fall go. So just so you guys know how you make the most out of Solemn Strike and For Hire. So that's it for the traps. Alright, let's go into the extra deck now. So the extra deck is pretty cramped. I wish we had a little bit more space to work with, but I'll explain to you. So certain cards you could cut out, but there's a lot of utility cards that really help the deck become consistent. So first of all, we're going to go into 2 Folgo. Our main Link monster. So this guy is the guy that lets you draw 3 cards if you control 3 For Hire monsters with different names, including himself. He counts as one of them. And yeah, super good. The fact that his requirements aren't limited to just For Hire monsters is great. It opens up a lot of potential. Unfortunately, I couldn't think of any other engine that that you can abuse, like non-For Hire monsters, that lets you get easy 1-card Falcos or 2-card Falcos. But I do have one idea, and I'll go into it at the end of the extra deck and see if you guys can help me figure out something, because I think there's strong potential of making easy Falgos with some other engine. But anyways, yeah, 2 Falgo. Then we have Almirage and Linkuriboh. So our cards that help us go into Parallel Exceed. This is pretty much just for Philo and like Millenniumize. I know a little bit more specific, but Almirage you can use it with like Dampa, Helmer, Recon, yeah, all the other ones. So pretty good, both of them. Then Boral Sword Dragon just for OTKs. Now for like Parallel Exceed targets, we have Baguska for turn 1s. Sometimes we end on boards that we have a way to trigger Falgo. So let's say, for example, I drew like Solemn Strike or Ghost Ogre. You can end on a board with this, even if you have Rafale on field, because it doesn't matter that you're negating your Rafale. As long as your Falgo effect can activate, you can get the draw 3 effect. So the fact that you're stunning your opponent more is pretty nice. And then also what I was talking about earlier, if one of your effects gets negated, you can just link them away, make Almirage or Linkuriboh, and then go into Parallel Exceed. So then that way you have somewhat of a turn 1 board. And this, if your opponent can't play around this, it's pretty nice for going turn 3. Because look, you have a Cyverse and a Fiend type monster. All you got to do is draw anything. Even if you draw a Ghost Ogre or something, like an extra Ghost Ogre in hand, you can normal summon and you have Cyverse, Fiend, Psychic. Use all 3 of them, make Falgo, and you can summon every single For Hire monster. You have all the options, every single For Hire monster in your deck. So other than that, Tornado Dragon, a way to trigger Falgo during your opponent's turn, just destroying spells and traps. And last one, King of the Feral Imps. So this guy gets us a way to search out Bravo, because Bravo is a reptile. So it can be pretty interesting. Sometimes you end up in certain hands that you wish you had one more For Hire monster, and if you draw Parallel Exceed, this guy just does just that. Gives us a way to search out a For Hire monster. So that's pretty nice. We'll go back to him once I finish the extra deck, because this is the card I was talking about that I feel has potential to really up the potential of For Hire. So those are our rank 4s. Up next we have our more situational cards for our limited spell cards. So for example, we have Reproductus. He's just in here with just because of Scapegoat, because if you use Scapegoat, you use 2 tokens to make him. You can use his effect to target 1 token, make it a different type. For example, we make it Zombie, and then so we have Dinosaur, Zombie, and then Beast with the Scapegoat token. So that means if we use those 3, we get Falgo, and then we have an extra Goat token to actually work with. Then we have Millenniumize Restrict, our one and only instant fusion target. I didn't really know what to cut to put in Thousand Eyes Restrict, but I figured this one's the more important one. So 1 Millenniumize. Then we have the Sky Strikers. So we have Kagari and Hayate. So you don't have to play both of them. You can actually cut this one if you don't really feel the need for it. But the reasoning I put this in is because if you just use Kagari, you would use Hornet Drones to special summon her, get back the Hornet Drones, activate it again, and then you have Machine and Warrior with the token, because the token is Warrior. And the reason I don't like that is because if you use both of them, you have a Warrior, so it's going to restrict you from special summoning Beat from the deck. So by using Hayate, you can the second time you activate Horny Drone, so you have Kagari and then the token. You would link away the Kagari to make Hayate. You have the arrow pointing diagonal down, which you can lets you use the token for Link Karibo. So then you have Machine, Cyverse, and then whatever your normal summon, which most likely it won't be a warrior monster, which means you can go into Folgo and special summon Beat. And then for the last three cards, we have Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Unicorn, and the final card, I don't own it yet, but if I had it, I would play it here. So this Abyss Dweller would be IP Masquerena. So, luckily we got the recent news that IP Masquerena is getting a reprint. So I'm just waiting for the price to go down. But yeah, IP's pretty nice in this deck. There's certain situations where you just want to link into something just to get, like for example, Rafale in Graveyard, just so that you can revive him and get his effect during your opponent's turn. That way you get more advantage. So IP's usually the best target to do that with. So those three cards. Alright, and then I also said earlier that the one card that I feel that can really bump up the consistency of the deck, or could really abuse single card engines, like cards that aren't for hire, is this card, King of the Feral Imps. Just because if you, let's say I'm using that whatever engine, like something that can do a one card Folgo, that isn't a for hire monster. So the problem is, to be able to extend, like let's say I use that one card engine, I get Folgo and I special summon Beat, but then I have nothing in hand to special summon to be able to trigger Beat. But if you actually draw that small engine with Parallel Exceed in your hand, you can make this guy search out Bravo, and then you can start special summoning Bravo off the Beat, and then you can just go on from there. You can go full for hire combo. So yeah, that was just a little something that I was thinking of. Couldn't really think of anything like I was like a one card engine or whatever. It's just some other archetype that you can splash into this deck, because Folgo is generic. It doesn't specify that you have to use for hires for him. So I feel that there's something. If you guys can think of something, let me know in the comments. Yeah, so that's it for the deck profile. I can go into a few test hands if you want. Yeah, actually, I'll do that right now. Let's go into some test hands and I'll show you how I like playing this deck. Alright guys, so we're back. So we're going to do our first test hand. So let's see what we get. Let's draw 5. Seal, Desires, Recon, Rafale, Ghost Ogre. Alright, nice. So Ghost Ogre lets us end on a board that doesn't require Dump on field for us to trigger Folgo. So let's see. First of all, we want to try and activate our Desires. That way we get them to spend a hand trap or whatever. So Desires, go ahead and banish 10. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let's go ahead and see what we banished. 1 Parallel Exceed, 2 Parallel Exceed. Alright, so that's a little bad. Hopefully we don't draw Parallel Exceed. Another Desires and Helmer. Alright, so the other Desires is dead. At least we drew another for hire monster. So let's see. Let me think real fast. Let's see if I want to use Helmer's effect. I could, because then I could also use Seal's effect to get me the monster I actually discarded. You know what? I think I'm actually going to go for it. So I'm going to go normal summon Helmer first. Effective Helmer. Special summon Seal. Effective Helmer. Let's ditch Rafale. Draw a card. Drew into Dampa. Now, effective Seal. Let's special summon Recon. Effective Seal. Let's add Rafale back to hand. Now we're gonna go all 3 of them. Yeah, all 3 of them. Special summon Folgo. Effective Folgo, special summon a Beat. Effective Beat, let's special summon Dampa. And then effect of Dampa to special summon the Rafale. I'd probably not put him under the zone here, but just for the sake of you guys being able to see the cards I'm playing, I'm going to scoot them a little bit closer. Effect of Rafale, we get to excavate the top 3 cards and pick one to add to hand. So 1, 2, and 3. Alright, so this is a tough choice. That Solemn Strike is looking pretty nice, but we can do some pretty cool combos with that Mayhem. I feel like being a little greedy and going with Mayhem. And then shuffle these 2 back. Alright, and then, so our hand is Ghost Ogre, Pot of Desires, and Mayhem. So I would use Beat and Rafale to make an IP Masquerena. So let's use our proxy Abyss Dweller as IP Masquerena. Set the Mayhem for hire. End our turn. So during our opponent's turn, our opponent activates pretty much anything. Normal summons, puts a field spell or whatever. We are going to want to activate Mayhem for hire. Target Rafale. Special summon Rafale, we're going to go Chainlink 1 and 2. Let's go Dampa Chainlink 1 so that they don't have a chance to respond and negate him, because getting the destruction is more important than Rafale. So Rafale going first, we're going to reveal 2. So Seal and another Mayhem. So I think I'm going to go with Mayhem. Shuffle that back. And then Dampa is going to destroy something on field. So then Dampa's destruction is going to let us draw 3 cards. So I'll go Helmer, another Ghost Ogre, and Philo. Alright, so we have... So far we used just Mayhem to get a disruption during our opponent's turn, a destruction on their turn. We still haven't used Ghost Ogre. We could still use Ghost Ogre as another disruption. We have Rafale as a monster negation. And then so with IP Masquerena, we can go ahead and use her. Plus, we can use Dampa. We can use Dampa or Rafale. It doesn't really matter at this point because we already got Folgo to activate. But we could use both of them to go into a Unicorn. Discard one of our extra cards. Like, most likely it's going to be Desires because I don't think we're going to resolve this card again. And then we have a 3rd Disruption. Plus, look, our hand is pretty huge right now. Let's say, for example, I use the Ghost Ogre to disrupt something else. And then draw for turn. And then I already have the resources to build another board, just like Philo, Special Summon Helmer. We have the Mayhem for hire to even extend, and then the secondary Raphael. So, unfortunately, I ended up banishing double Parallel Exceed, but you see what I did? I ended up building a pretty decent board, even by banishing those Parallel Exceeds. Alright, another test hand. 1. Oh, we're seeing Desires again. Oh, back to the front. Dampa, Beat, and... okay, double Pot of Desires, man. This card is... I'm seeing it a lot right now. But normally this isn't the case, but we're still going to play it out. This hand's pretty nice. So we're going to go Beat, Effective Beat, Special Dampa, Effective Beat, get a search. So in this case, let's get Rafale. Now I'm going to use Dampa's effect to special summon Rafale. You could activate Pot of Desires first, but I mean, it'd be nice if with Rafale's effect I get to see my Parallel Exceed, or also see like a Mayhem for hire or something. So that's why I chose not to play Pot of Desires first, and I wanted to get the Beat Search. We play a lot of 3-of, so I mean, maybe the play would be to use this just to bait a hand trap first, but let's commit to this play, because I want to see, I'm trying to make the most out of this hand. Anyways, let's go Dampa effect, special summon Rafale. Yeah, let's use the effect right now. So go ahead and just excavate 2 cards. So we get Helmer, and double Helmer, so choice is kind of hard, but I think I'm going to pick Helmer. The other one goes back into deck. I'm going to use all three of them. All three of them to special summon Folgo. Actually, before I go into Folgo, I think I want to play Heart of Desires first. Yeah, let's go ahead and activate that first. So banish 10. Hopefully we don't banish all our Philos, but that's the only card I'm worried about, because I'm most likely going to special summon Philo. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let's see what we banished. Mayhem, Parallel Exceed, another Parallel Exceed, one Philo. Okay, nice. So we still have our Philos. So that's banish. Draw 1, 2. Alright, that's pretty good. Okay, so another Helmer and a Rafale. So now we're going to use all three of them. Go into Folgo. Effective Folgo, let's special summon Philo. So when I activated Rafale, I got I'm playing with like what I'm seeing. So if I didn't draw the Helmer and I just had these two cards, like just for the sake of explaining that this is an okay board to end with, because during my opponent's turn you can play back to the front to target Dampa, special Dampa, effective Philo to special summon Rafale. Rafale is going to activate, Dampa's going to activate, you get to destroy a card on field, and then you have the three different name for hires, so then you have a way to disrupt and start getting some pluses during your opponent's turn. But since we ended up drawing the Helmers, I'm going to special summon a Helmer now. So I'm going to special Helmer, use the effective Philo to special summon Beat, and now we're going to set one card, so we're just going to set the back to the front. Special summoned with Helmer, so might as well now use the effect. So I'm going to use the effective Helmer to ditch one Helmer to draw another card. Drew Recon. Alright, so now we're going to set back to the front. And pass turn. Just like the other one, where pretty much when your opponent activates anything, or normal summons, whatever, plays a card, activate back to the front, do the play that I was just explaining. Special Dampa, effective Philo, special Rafale. Now this is when we get a lot of chain links. So pretty much everything is going to activate right now. So let's resolve it like this. Let's go Chainlink 1 Dampa, Chainlink 2 Helmer, Chainlink 3 Rafale, Chainlink 4 Beat. So Beat is going to go first of all. So Beat is going to let us search let's get a seal. Send back to the front to the graveyard. Then Rafale is going to let us excavate 5 cards from our deck, which is pretty nuts. We have a lot of options, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, we want the hand trap. We want the Ghost Ogre. Everything else goes back into deck. Now, Helmer, let's ditch... Yeah, let's ditch Recon. Get an extra draw. Oh, look, Helmer. Okay, so this is our hand. We have Desires, Rafale, Seal, Ghost Ogre, and Helmer. And then lastly, our Chainlink 1 was the Dampa to destroy a card on the field, which lets us draw 3 cards because of Folgo. So then we'll go 1, 2, and 3. Alright, all for higher monsters. So we still have Monster Negation with Rafale, our hand trap as Ghost Ogre, and then follow-up plays also too. Not that many disruptions. We do have a wall of monsters, So if they can't get through all of them, then we still have some that we can use their effects to help us special summon during turn 3. And then we would draw for turn, and then we draw reinforcements, which is kind of dead at this point. But I mean, we have a lot of cards to work with right now. So this is a good example of how much advantage you can rank up. Good turn 1 boards. So yeah. I hope you guys enjoy this video. This is one of my favorite decks, so I wanted to go a little bit in depth with it, really explain how I like playing it, so people who want to try it out can have more fun, because I think this deck is really enjoyable. The only time that you're really not having fun with it is when you don't have any follow-up plays and your normal summon gets hit pretty hard. So yeah, I mean, side deck, I know I didn't go over side deck, but for side deck options, you want to probably side out like the slower cards, for example, the Scapegoat, yeah, those cards, depending on the matchup, I don't know, Ghost Ogres you usually want to keep, and then you go for more like going second cards, like for example, Dark Ruler No More. What else? I was thinking about the card, what is it? Pankratops, Red Reboot. Yeah, cards that just help you going second, being able to blow up your opponent's board. Any kaijus too. Yeah, so let me know what you guys think. Let me see if you guys can help me really break this deck with the idea of using Parallel Exceed and King of the Feral Imps. And yeah, I'll see you guys in another video. It's nice to be back on YouTube. Alright guys, I'll catch you later.